Yo. Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Wrestling with the Homies. I'm the homie Qwan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Jay Cooley.
What's good, y'all? Yeah.
And my boy, Sylvan Sylvan the Don.
You know where I'm at with it, man. What's up with y'all, man?
What's up with y'all, man? How y'all feeling about that Big E interview, man?
Ain't nothing to it.
Y'all getting any?
You know what I mean? We done leveled up a little bit. We done leveled up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know,
getting our industry plan off. Getting that industry plan up. But yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. Shout out to Big E. And shout out for the wrestlers who tapped in. Ricochet, he on our page. He liking stuff. Who else? Mr. Kennedy. We got a follow from Mr. Ken Anderson.
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Kennedy. That was fun.
Man.
That was fun.
Mr. Kennedy, man.
We got to get Mr. Kennedy on this show. We have to get Mr. Kennedy on this show.
Bro, I have so many questions for Mr. Kennedy, dog.
I just want to know what happened with
I have so many, dog.
Right. I just want to know what happened with that storyline when he was supposed to be Vince McMahon's son. Like, what was up with that? Like, give us the real on that. Because nobody's ever asked him that. I want to know. But fellas.
Sure.
I got a question for y'all, man. Y'all watched Raw, right? Did y'all watch Raw?
Stellar Raw.
Bro.
Yeah. Stellar Raw. Stellar.
Is Gunther the best wrestler in the world right now? Like, he might be the best wrestler in the world.
Oh, God. Here we go.
No, he's not.
I don't know.
I'm giving that to Kenny Omega. Let's
Cooley,
talk
I was there
about
with you.
it.
I was there with you with the Kenny Omega
Cooley,
thing. But after seeing
Cooley.
Gunther go crazy.
Cooley. Come on, Cooley.
What?
Come on. That match?
I mean,
he powerbombed Bronson Reed with ease.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And look, I've been tough on Gunther. I'm always like, oh, Gunther's not a star, because I still stand by that. I don't think he's a superstar in the sense of like moving merch and all that. But like, Gunther might be the best in the world right now. After seeing that match, I have no doubts in my mind. Gunther is the best in that ring, because he ain't got to do flips. He ain't got to do all the fancy stuff. He's an old school wrestler. He just go in the ring and beat people's asses, and it looks good. It's crazy. Gunther might be the best in the world. I'm sorry.
Hey, man, I just want to say that nobody talks about his weight transformation enough. Like, this guy was like over 300 pounds, dog. It's crazy. Like, imagine if he had that weight. Like, would we be saying this? Like, I don't know. You just never know.
Yo, he did not look intimidating at all when he was chubby. He looked like a big ass baby.
Yeah, man. He was he was a little sloppy, man. But Gunther is the prime example of presenting yourself as you are. He is presented as one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best wrestler in the world. His entire gimmick is centered around that in a very larger than life capacity. And we're seeing it. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that assessment, Qwan. I do think he is the best wrestler in the world right now.
And it's so funny because I think the narrative out there is that I don't like Gunther or that I hate Gunther. And it's such the opposite. Like, Gunther is incredible. He's not a star, though, but that's a whole different topic. We're not even going to get into that today because I've said it enough on this podcast and I don't want to get killed by the fans out there. So I'm going to just move right along. Now, fellas, I've been seeing this conversation on the internet forever and ever. And I feel like we got to talk about this today because I feel like it could be a pretty interesting conversation to have. So I'm going to start with this. We all got friends who claim to be gamers, right? They claim to be gamers. They say they love video games. But when you ask them what they play, they'll tell you that they play NBA 2K, a little bit of Madden, maybe some Call of Duty. And it's like, okay, you're a gamer, but you only play the 3 biggest AAA games in the world. Are you really a gamer, or are you just a guy that plays 2K? A guy that plays some Madden? We all got friends who say they love anime. Oh, I love anime. I was raised watching anime. You ask them what their favorite anime is. Oh, I watch Dragon Ball Z, maybe a little bit of Dragon Ball GT, even some Dragon Ball Super. And it's like, okay, you an anime fan, but all you watch is quite possibly the most popular anime of all time, Dragon Ball Z. Are you really an anime fan? Are you just a guy that likes Dragon Ball Z? So, fellas, that brings me to the question of the day, the question of the century, the question of the decade. If you claim to be a pro wrestling fan, but you only watch WWE exclusively, are you really a wrestling fan? Or are you just a WWE fan? Because let's be honest, it's a million different wrestling companies out there. We can go to Japan. We got New Japan. We got Dragon Gate, Pro Wrestling Noah. We can go to the indies in the United States. We got CZW, MLW, House of Glory. There's a million different wrestling promotions. We can even go down to Mexico. We got CMLL, AAA. Like I said, it's a million wrestling promotions. So if you're only consuming WWE and you've never really tapped in with any of these other companies, are you really a wrestling fan or are you just a WWE fan? Because there is a slight difference. Now, for me, the short answer would be yes. So let's put that to bed right now. If you're watching WWE for hours and hours every single week, you're a wrestling fan, because at the end of the day, it might be the safest answer. It might be the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, but it's still a wrestling promotion. So if you're watching wrestling every week, regardless of if it's WWE, AEW, whatever it is, you're a wrestling fan. However, and I might get some flack for saying this, but however, if you only exclusively watch WWE, it does invalidate your opinion on pro wrestling just a little bit, I'm sorry, but it does. It does.
What a purist.
It does. You're a wrestling fan with an asterisk. Let's put it like that. You're a wrestling fan with an asterisk. And I say that because if you only ever consume WWE, then I don't want to hear your opinion on what wrestling should be. I don't want to hear your opinion on the indies. I don't want to hear your opinion on AEW. All I want to hear you talk about is WWE. Because if you're only consuming WWE, that's all you know. That's the only way you know. So stick to WWE. Don't talk anything about these other companies. And that goes vice versa. If you've only consumed everything outside of WWE, if you watch AEW weekly, you watch all these independent promotions, you watch New Japan, but you don't watch WWE, don't talk about WWE. Keep WWE out your mouth, because you're not consuming the product enough to make an educated assumption on what's going on over there. You're basing your opinion off highlights and hearsay. So I don't want to hear no opinions on WWE if you're not watching WWE. Now, lastly, before I pass the rock off to y'all to get y'all opinion on this, I just want to say there is absolutely nothing wrong with having a preference. There's nothing wrong with saying, yo, I'm a strictly WWE guy or I'm strictly an AEW guy. So shout out to you if that's your thing. But like I said, if you want to live in that bubble, stay in that bubble. Don't talk about things that you don't watch. Don't talk about things that you don't consume. If you're a Laker fan and you only exclusively watch Laker games, that's fine. I'm with you. I want to hear your opinion on LeBron and AD. I want to hear your opinion on Darvin Ham. But don't start talking hoops with the real hoopers, because we watch hoops. We watch college basketball. We watch the NBA. We watch all of it. We don't just exclusively watch one team. So no, if you a Laker fan and you only watch Lakers games, stick over there in that Laker bubble. Don't come over here with the real hoopers, because we don't want to hear your opinion. Now, fellas, how y'all feel about this situation? If you're only exclusively a WWE fan, are you also a Laker? Are you also a Laker? Are you also a wrestling fan? Are you just a WWE fan? Let me know. Talk to me.
That's hilarious.
Yo, Qwan is sick, yo. You are sick. You are a sick man.
Like,
you are a sick man, dog.
Hey, am I lying though? It's the truth. Somebody got to say it. Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
Might
as well be me.
I've never been the one that just watched one. I've never been the one that just watched one, company, because growing up, I had WCW and WWE, even though they was going at each other. And then around 02, 03, I had TNA, and I dipped into that. So that's kind of hard to, place on somebody, being that they're just only a WWE fan. I think that they're still wrestling fans, obviously.
Of course.
But to have an opinion on anything, it gets a little tricky, I don't know, man. I've always been the one that had multiple 31 flavors, like Baskin. You feel me?
I'm just like you, man. I'm just like you. And like I said, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a preference and exclusively sticking to that. But if that's the case, don't criticize other products that you aren't watching, because then you're not making an educated opinion on something. You're just basing it off highlights and what you read on Twitter. You're not forming your real opinion. You just echoing other people's opinions. So I don't want to hear that. I don't. I'm sorry. Sylvan, how you feel about this, man? Talk to me.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I have a question. What if you used to watch a product?
Oh,
and you no longer watch that same product anymore, and you haven't been tapped in for like a couple years? Can you still have an opinion on said product?
Absolutely. As long as you're paying attention to what's going on over there in the landscape, and you're familiar with it, then I don't have a problem with you having an opinion on it. Because I mean, it's only so many hours in a week. Like, come on now, we don't watch everything. There's nobody out there that watches everything, and if there is, you need help, my brother, because you spending way too much time watching wrestling. So if you watch everything, then go see a psychiatrist. Know what I'm saying? But like I said, there's not enough hours in the week to watch everything. But I don't want to hear people. It's the criticism.
Okay,
it's the criticism. The criticism kills me when you're not watching something, but you're criticizing it. It's like, what are we talking about?
Okay, so what if I watch? Let's say I watch Impact, AEW, and JPW, but I don't watch WWE, and I've never tapped in. Or maybe I've seen a few episodes, but I just don't like the product. Am I able to criticize WWE?
So the thing is, you can criticize anything you want. I'm not going to be here to tell you that you can. The thing is, I'm not going to respect your criticism because you're not watching. Like, if you haven't watched WWE in years, don't tell me about WWE because you're not paying attention to what's going on in WWE. Leave that to people like us who actually pay attention. Don't come criticizing something that you aren't watching. That's like me. That's like me saying the new Martin Scorsese movie is trash, but I've never seen it. If I haven't seen it, how do I know it's trash? Because somebody else said it's trash? Like, no, if you're going to form an opinion and be loud about that opinion, make sure you know what you're talking about. That's all I'm saying. If you're not watching, don't speak.
Okay, so all right, boom, right? Martin Scorsese movie, right? I clearly would have to watch a new Martin Scorsese movie in order to formulate a real opinion. So wrestling is different, right? Wrestling is basically live action soap opera. How much of a product do I have to watch in order to be able to form a valid opinion? Like, what does that constitute as?
Some of it, at least. Because there's people like, bro.
But like, what's some? Is that like a?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I'm saying from your perspective. Like, what is that? Like, what does that look like from your perspective? Like, how much is some?
Just enough that you. It's hard to say what some is. I would just prefer you to watch the product. That's just it. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there who criticize WWE to death. All they do is watch AEW. They watch New Japan. They watch anything that's not WWE. But they are the loudest with their opinions on what's going on in WWE. But they admittedly and proudly haven't watched WWE in like 6 years. So it's like, yeah, you might have watched back in the day. But why are you speaking on today's product if you haven't tuned in? Like, how are you making an educated assumption on what's going on over there when you're not watching it?
So I have a few perspectives on this, right? So all right, anime, right? Anime, I have my animes that I love. Now, I've watched a solid, off the top of my head, maybe 20 to 25 different animes in full. Right, like off the top of my head. Now, that's not including the animes that I've tapped into to just kind of see how I feel about them, and maybe I just didn't really like them or whatnot. But I can say I've watched 20 to 25 animes all the way through. So I can say from that perspective, yeah, I love anime. I love tapping into anime. Now, am I the most well-versed anime guy ever? No, not at all. But I'm not a guy that only watches Dragon Ball Z. You may be a Dragon Ball Z fan or a Dragon Ball Z fanatic,
by the way. I love Dragon Ball Z.
But you're not an anime. Yeah, shout out to Dragon Ball Z, top tier anime. I don't care. And it is anime. It is an anime. Like, for all of you anime fans out there who wanna like dispute that, that's an anime. It just is. Deal with it. Shouts to them. But I wouldn't call you an anime fan if you're only watching Dragon Ball Z, or if you only watch Dragon Ball Z and Hunter x Hunter, right? Like, you're just Dragon Ball Z and Hunter x Hunter fans. You gotta kind of have, you need to be in the trenches a little bit more. Same thing for hip hop, right? I'm a fan of a lot of different hip hop acts, but if you're only a fan of Drake and Logic and Meek Mill, random assortment of people. If you're only a fan of those 3 artists, but then the majority of music that you listen to is maybe jazz, then yeah, I wouldn't call you a hip hop fan. I would say, oh, you're a fan of these artists. Just like I'm not an indie rock fan or an alternative rock fan, but I really love Coldplay and I really love Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, I love those bands. I'm not in the genre like that. I'm not moving in there, but I do love those 2 bands. Wrestling, though, is a little bit different because
it's not.
There are a lot of different wrestling. I'm just saying it is because there are a lot of different companies, but at the same time, like, wrestling also inherently has a lot of different matches and a lot of different wrestlers. I can watch WWE right now religiously, and I can know the entire roster front to back. I can watch NXT, SmackDown. I can have an assessment on what wrestling is, at least this style, just by watching one product. Now, I don't know the full scope of what professional wrestling looks like, but if I'm watching one product religiously and I'm watching 15 to 16 different matches and I'm watching 4 to 5 different shows, I might be a wrestling fan just because of the dynamics of what I'm watching. That's just kind of how I feel. I'm just looking at the metrics of it, right? Like, same thing if I only watch AEW or if I only watch AEW and WWE, right? Which is majority of me. Like, I tap into the other products as much, but I am a devout AEW, WWE fan. But because I'm not tapped into everything else right now currently, does that mean that, I'm not a wrestling fan? I can't answer that question just because I think the metrics of wrestling are just way different than anything else, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's just how I feel.
So the thing is, we all agree. If you're watching any wrestling promotion religiously for hours a week, you are a wrestling fan. It don't matter if it's WWE or if it's IWA Mid-South or some random defunct Southern wrestling company. If you're watching any wrestling every week, then you are a wrestling fan. So let's put that to bed right now. But I think my problem really is based in the criticism on products that people don't watch. I look at it as, let's say I'm a hip hop fan, right? I love rap music. I've only heard maybe a couple of Lupe Fiasco singles, but I've never really listened to his albums like that. I never really deep dive his catalog. So now I'm like, yo, Lupe Fiasco trash. And I'm basing that on the 2 or 3 singles that I've heard. It's like, all right, you're obviously not well enough versed in this conversation to even get a statement like that off. Like, at least tap in to something current and live in that a little bit before you give me a crazy opinion like that. Like, don't come over here and say that, yo, AEW need to do this. They need to change this. AEW's product is not good. When you haven't watched the product in 8 months. Because at that point, you don't know what's going on. How can you make a statement like that when you're not watching the day-to-day product? It don't make sense. Somebody tell me something. Cooley. We haven't heard from you on this topic, man. Let me know. Do I sound crazy? Do I sound insane?
Get your rocks off, Cooley.
Look, I was gonna say, Danny, I might have to take back my my criticism of Murphy Lee because I bought his album for What the Hook Gonna Be, and I said his album was trash.
Man. Come on. We ain't gotta bring up Murphy Lee like that.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Come on, man. That is such a stray dog. Come on, man.
No, What the Hook Gonna Be was fire though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but that album was not good though. That album was terrible. It was donkey.
I'm like, damn. So maybe I do need to, digest the whole thing and then I can criticize. That's what you're basically saying.
But what if that just isn't your style, right? What if that isn't your style, right? What is that? But what does that constitute?
It cannot be your style, and if it's not your style, that's fine. Like, look, that hardcore, super duper hardcore wrestling, it's not really for me. I used to love ECW back in the day, but these days, you're not gonna watch me watching CZW or XPW where they're like stapling each other in the head and getting thrown through like tables with light bulbs on top of them and fire. Like, you're not going to watch me watching that because, you're not going to catch me watching that because that's not for me. I'm a grown ass man. I can't watch people literally kill themselves in that ring. So I don't speak on it. You're not going to see me speaking on what's going on in XPW or CZW or one of these hardcore promotions because that's just not for me. I don't tap in with that. I don't watch that. I'm not well enough versed to even speak on what's going on over there. I stay away in my WWE, AEW, New Japan bubble, and I talk about that. That's all I'm saying, man. Talk about what you know.
Qwan, you used to watch that though. You used to watch it. before in the past, and so you were well versed on that. So you could kind of have a perspective on why you don't watch it anymore, or like why you're just not into it, because at a certain point you used to really like be in it, right? Like that's to me that's the main difference, right? If I'm not privy to, like, it's like the Joe Budden and Drake thing that's been going on. Like Joe Budden talking about For All the Dogs. Drake is coming. Sorry, Joe Budden is coming from the perspective of a super Drake fan who is saying, "Hey, I'm criticizing you based off of what I'm hearing in the music and what you seem to be exhibiting to me as a super fan, and this isn't what I like. This isn't what I want." He's qualified to speak from that perspective as a Drake fan, as a super Drake fan, because he is very much invested in his music and has been since the beginning. Now, if he wasn't a Drake fan, if he just didn't like Drake music, then would he be qualified to be able to speak on that?
But see, here's
like,
the
if
thing,
I didn't like Drake's music, could I talk about For All the Dogs and say, hey, this isn't good because I'm not a Drake fan, because I don't listen, just because I don't listen to Drake? Would I have to digest more of Drake's music in order to have a better understanding of what he's doing currently?
I mean, so if you're going to speak on For All the what is this face? If you're going to speak on For All the Dogs, at least
I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm just asking. I don't have the answer.
At the very least, at least have heard the album before you speak on it. And let's be honest about the whole Joe Budden Drake situation. Like, it's a little bit more spice than just Joe Budden not liking the album. They got some girls in common. It's a lot of other things that they beeping about. Yeah. So we know that opinion is based on a lot more than just what their music sounds like.
But he is a fan. He's
absolutely a fan.
But he's a super fan, though. He's a super fan.
But that goes back to like the wrestling community. So a lot of people's opinion on like AEW, or a lot of people's opinion on what current WWE is looking like, is based on a lot more than just what's actually going on those programs. A lot of people have a resentment towards WWE for how they've done their favorites over the years. They don't like how Vince McMahon used to handle business.
Facts.
So they're not going to give very honest reviews on what's going on over there, for the simple fact that there is a little bit of resentment and a hatred towards that product. So it's the same thing with the Joe Budden and Drake thing. There's a lot more there than just an honest opinion. There's some spice there as well. Let's just be honest about that.
I feel you. I guess my real thing is just the metrics of being able to criticize, right? Like with wrestling specifically, I feel like the metrics are just really muddied. Like I've watched enough AEW. I watch AEW first and foremost, so I can have a formulative opinion on where AEW is and what they're doing and where they're going. Same thing for WWE. I can't really say that for Impact as a whole. I haven't been tapped into Impact in a very long time. I'm not going to say that the company sucks or that they stink or what they're doing in the ring is gross. I'm just saying I'm not as tapped in regularly, so I can't really have a formulative opinion. But how much would I have to tap in? And is it like, I guess, how much would I have to tap in for a wrestling company to have a real metric, right? Like, do I need a whole season of, like, is it up until like a major pay-per-view? Is it like over a course of a year, 6 months? Because like, I can measure how I would judge a new hip hop album. I just need to listen to it. I can measure how I would judge a new movie. I just need to watch it. I can measure how I can judge, a video game, right? I just need to play it. But with wrestling, it's sticky. It's kind of like I don't really know the metrics of how much I need to be tapped in before I could have a formulative opinion on what the product is doing.
I don't
that's
think
me.
It's the question.
I don't. That's the. And I think if we can, I think if we could define that, then I can kind of have a better answer. I don't really have an opinion on it.
I just think you have to watch.
Wrestling is weird. It's unlike anything in the world.
Any amount. Anything that's more than just a highlight.
What if it can be a
other
week?
people's
what
tweets?
If a week?
Just a week is enough. Anything. Just have watched it. Like you said, to judge a movie, you have to watch that movie. You can't just watch a commercial and then judge the movie. To judge an album, you kind of have to listen to that album. But you can't just hear a couple songs and then judge that album. So wrestling, at least watch a show.
But to counter that though.
Go ahead.
But to counter that though, it made what if I tap in AEW, or if I tap into Raw, or tap into whatever I'm tapping into, and it's just not a great night, or it's not a great show.
That's fine.
Or it's not a great week. It's just a terrible week.
That's fine. You can speak on that, but at least you watched it to judge that. Because let's be honest, like I said, in the wrestling community, we know a lot of people are talking bad about things that they're not paying attention to. They're saying wrestlers suck who they have never seen wrestle. They're saying shows suck that they haven't watched in 10 years. How would they know outside of Twitter clips and highlights? Like, how would they know? At least just pay attention. Just pay attention to the landscape.
Man. This is all Elon Musk's fault.
Cooley dumb, dog.
Because of these blue checks and subscriptions, people make outrageous statements for engagement. Like, it is what it is, and you get paid. Elon Musk, y'all.
But to go back to your point, Qwan, right? If I tap in and I'm not a devout Lupe fan. First off, I am a devout Lupe fan. But if I'm not a devout Lupe fan and I listen to 3 Lupe songs and they're not the best 3 Lupe songs, you know what? Matter of fact, we go back to the chat. You know, in our chat, we were talking about Tezo Touchdown. We had a whole discussion about it, right? And there was a certain person in that chat that we're not going to name who basically was saying like, oh, his music isn't great. The music that he was starting with, you know, it sucked. And he named like 3 records that weren't necessarily the best songs to judge his actual artistic integrity off of. I came in and I said, yo, here's a record that's actually really good. You can't judge his whole perspective. I mean, his whole artistic journey off of these 3 songs that probably aren't his best songs. I could say the same thing for a Raw or a SmackDown that just wasn't good. If I tune into AEW for a week, I watch Collision, AEW Dynamite, and Rampage, and it was just a bad week. Does that mean that AEW sucks? Or I can formulate, or is that enough for me to formulate an opinion? Like, I don't think so. I think I would have to really tap in. I think I would have to tap in at least for a month.
Yeah.
To make a fair assessment.
I hear you.
In a wrestling company. You know, because wrestling is weird, man. Wrestling is really weird. That's just all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I need
at
a
least a couple months.
We're not gonna act like
a couple months.
We ain't gonna act like because we're not gonna act like there hasn't been like countless weeks where Raw has been stinky. You know, so imagine somebody just now tapping in. It's like, yo, this is stinky. What's going on,
bro? I tried to show somebody Dragon Ball Z once, and they were not a Dragon Ball Z fan, and I picked the wrong episode, and they were looking at me like, bro, what? I think it was like Trunks I think it was either Trunks of like just landing and about to fight Frieza. And it was a filler episode. And he was just looking at me like, bruh, what is this? And I was just like, dang, nah, you don't get it. You don't understand how important this is to the story arc. But I realized I blew it. I blew it in the moment. So I'm like, he would need to, I don't know where he would need to start, but he would need to start somewhere for him to get the full scope to make a full assessment. So.
Yo, as long as it's not the episode when Goku gets his driver's license, because that was a terrible episode.
I love that episode, bro.
Why?
I'm sick, man. I'm sick.
He can fly.
Cooley.
Yeah, they happen.
Yo, so Cooley mentioned Elon Musk ruining the wrestling because, you know, he giving out everybody blue checks. He's giving blue checks to everybody, and everybody thinks that they're an expert now and giving out these opinions. But, you know, speaking of subscribers and engagement, we need y'all to subscribe and engage with us. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel and turn them notifications on. And also, I want to hear from y'all on this topic, man, because this is a very interesting conversation that we're having. Let me know down below if you think that, you know, you can form opinions on a product that you're barely watching, or do you think that no? Because that's where I'm at with it. I think that you got to watch something to judge it. If you don't watch, if you're just watching highlights and tweets and you echoing what they're saying, I'll hear your opinion and I'll accept it, but that don't mean that I'll respect that opinion. So let me know down below how y'all feel about this situation that we in, baby.
I'm not mad at that, Qwan. I think that was a great conversation, man. All right. I got something I want to talk to y'all about, man, per usual. I want to talk about AEW. I want to talk about MJF. I want to talk about MJF's title reign. And I want to first and foremost say that I don't hate AEW, guys. And not to y'all. Y'all my brothers. I know y'all know my heart. But to the fans, you know, we got a little community that's bubbling. You know I had some disparaging things to say about AEW stans, you know, and I don't take that back. But I just want to clear the air. I watch AEW and I like the product. Let's just, like, in case there is some type of misunderstanding between that, I just want to let y'all know that I like the product. So let's just get that out of the way, right? I want to talk about AEW and where they're at right now as a company. It's not looking good. They're kind of on this downswing, and we've been talking about it for the past few episodes. And I know I kid around with the five years of of doom for Tony Khan. And I mean, look, it's all fun and jokes, but at the end of the day, we are experiencing a downturn of AEW, and this kind of made me start thinking about what could AEW do in order to pivot. In our last episode, I was talking to y'all about AEW needing a revamp or needing a new identity, but it starts with putting butts in seats, right? And then that started me really thinking about MJF, because when I think about who's putting the butts in the seats, I'm looking at the lead of the company, who's carrying the company, and I'm looking at MJF. MJF has the AEW title, and I started inspecting a little bit more, saying, all right, how's this guy been doing? Now, MJF's been doing great. This guy's been doing fantastic. Let's just give a round of applause. I think he's had a really incredible AEW title reign, and in a lot of ways, probably the best that I've seen. Maybe like right behind Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's run was incredible. I think the best so far that we've seen. But yeah. I can't help but feel bad for MJF, man, because he's carrying the company at the downturn of its existence so far. It's the worst time for AEW, and MJF seems to be the face of the company. And once again, MJF's timing in AEW seems to be absolutely terrible. I mean, I can't, this guy's timing, I don't know if there's a dark cloud around this guy, but he shines bright like a diamond. And for some reason, all of his pivotal moments in this company are overshadowed by either politics, scandals, CM Punk, or just hoopla from propaganda of tribalism, right? Now, I want to bring this back to a personal story of mine before I move any further, right? And make a further point. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make my point definitive, and then I'm going to bring it back to a personal story with y'all. I think MJF has done a fantastic job at AEW as their champion, leading the company. But it's time for him to let go of the title. It's not what's best for business for AEW. MJF as AEW champion is not what's best right now for AEW, and it's not MJF's fault. Let me break this down a little bit. My brothers, growing up, I liked fashion. It's not the same as it is now. You know, my man Qwan styles me when he can, you know, when I have the bread and the dough. He styles me because I really don't care too much about it anymore. But once upon a time, I really cared about having name brand clothes. My life was like Kanye West. My dad used to come through and give me new clothes. What did Kanye West say? And I don't know what he did for dough, but he'll send me out with a new wardrobe. Hey, that's just how it was. I didn't know what my dad did, but every year, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I had new name brand clothes until 7th grade. I remember it vividly. 7th grade came and I was out of my butt. I didn't have any new name brand clothes. And at the time, there was a particular style happening that I wanted parts of. The throwback jerseys. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember when throwback jerseys were all the rave? Now, in my school, only a couple people had throwback jerseys, and they were treated like the godfathers of just attention, period. They came in with their throwbacks. They had like a few of them, and everybody would be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you got a throwback jersey. You know how crazy this is?" I wanted that throwback jersey. My dad was broke. My mom couldn't get it cracking. It was what it was. So I started saving money, flipping snacks around my school to save up enough money to make sure I could get that throwback jersey. Summer came. I got a part-time job, and I finally got me the Larry Bird vintage Celtics Boston throwback jersey. Spent $500 to $600 on this jersey, dog. which is preposterous when I think about it now. But Fabulous was rocking them. Dipset was rocking them. Hove was rocking them. And I knew I was going to be submitted when I came to school the next day, that following year in 8th grade. 8th grade comes. The first day of school, I rock that jersey. I even had the wristbands and the headband. I looked like a gap-toothed Paul Pierce, man. I pulled up with that jersey, bro, expecting love, expecting adoration. And it was like, oh, word, what's up? It's good to see you, bro. Oh, you got the throwback. Oh, that's cool. That's fine. I'm like, bro, you don't see what I'm rocking? You don't see the authentic tag? Oh, yeah, that's cool, man. That's what's up. And then a few more days go past and I rock it again. You know, crickets. And I realized that people were starting to move on to other fashions. Ed Hardy was popping, the skinny jeans, True Religion. It was a bunch of stuff I wasn't really into. Now the throwback was still esteemed. You know, if you rocked the throwback, it was what it was. But it just wasn't as powerful as it used to be. You know, it was just a staple. It's something we got used to. That's how I feel about MJF, guys. MJF is me. And the AEW championship is the throwback jersey. It's just the wrong time. It's the wrong time for MJF to be champion. MJF is feuding with the Bullet Club. I'm not mad at this. I see the story optics. I think it's great. There's a lot of history behind it. You see Adam Cole out on injury. That's his best friend. We already know the relationship with the Bullet Club. You see Jay White. I like it. I love it. Not to mention, also, MJF seems to be feuding with like 7 different other prospects from last week's AEW Dynamite. We're seeing Kenny Omega teasing the old Kenny coming back. We see Wardlow with an MJF on his wrist. Okay, this is kind of cool. I like it. But what is this realistically doing for AEW as a whole? I'm thinking about ticket sales. I'm thinking about excitement. I'm thinking about a refresh perspective on what's going to make this company interesting again. Because right now they're on the down swivel. MJF is like Shawn Michaels in the golden era. Shawn Michaels had an incredible reign in the early to mid 90s. Now, he worked hard for that reign. And when he finally got the belt, it felt like all the blame was on him because ticket sales were down, shows weren't going good, and WCW was beating him up. There was nothing that he could do about it. And he weighed a lot of that on him. I feel like MJF is in that same space, man. And unfortunately, as good as he's doing, it's not really equaling what AEW needs, which is a fresh perspective and a fresh outlook. Now, I'm not one to come here with complaints without a potential solution. That's just how I am. I live in the future. My girl always tells me, yo, you're really sloppy because you're always thinking about the bigger picture when really you need to be focusing on the present. But that's not me. I can only see the present so I can do something about what's next. I'm a what's next guy. What's next and what should happen, and I know y'all going to look at me like I'm crazy because we've already talked about this. Orange Cassidy needs to be the face of the company. I said it. I know. I get it. I understand how everyone feels, and I see where y'all looking at. But once again, I hold the burden of being the visionary that I am. I am Sylvan Rollins. I hold the vision, bro. Orange Cassidy needs to lead this company into the promised land. We have been on a down swivel with AEW since Tony Khan fired CM Punk. Now, we all know CM Punk was the one who was holding this company. And I want to take some time to apologize because I didn't know how impactful CM Punk's drawing power was until he left. Because my God, wow, just, oh my God, the ticket sales are down. The ratings are down. I would have never thought. But he's gone now. And when I look at who's selling the most merch, we have the AEW standard T-shirt. We have we had the Adam Cole and MJF merch. Unfortunately, that's kind of null and void. And we have Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy was number 2.
Yeah,
it was AEW. It was CM Punk, AEW. Orange Cassidy was number 3. Now he's number 2. Orange Cassidy has been selling great merch for the past 3 to 4 years. He's been in the top 5 for the past 3 to 4 years. He's easily the most recognizable character on AEW. Kids show up to AEW dressed like this kid. But the problem is that AEW treats this guy like a novelty act. Oh, yeah, he does the little thing with his hands in his pockets back when he was doing that. Oh, he does the friendship hug when he does his little spot. Oh, everybody loves it. It's cool. But he's not a serious contender when really he is the contender. He's new. He's fresh. In fact, I had black homies hitting me up like, bro, who's this dude? He's cool. I think I want to tap in. And it was a clip of Orange Cassidy looking like the coolest dude on earth, wrestling with his hands in his pocket. That showed me that he could tap into demographics that weren't the IWC. And he's also showing us that he could be taken seriously as a serious contender with this Atlantic Championship reign that he's been on, recently winning it back. But AEW needs to pull the trigger on Orange Cassidy. Try something fresh. Try something new. He's already your number 1 contender for merch. He's your best-selling merch person. He's easily recognizable. He's entertaining. Mike's skills aren't all the way there, but we can figure that out. And I think it's a fresh perspective for the company to start putting some butts in seats. Now, that's just me. That's just me in a perfect world. I understand where we are. I know Orange Cassidy is on this side of wrestling in AEW, and I know MJF is on this side of wrestling. But when we look at the numbers, we look at the stats, what is MJF's reign really doing for AEW right now, bro? Like, can we really answer that question?
Cool.
That is my TED Talk.
I'm gonna let you take
Thank you
this,
very
Queen,
much.
please.
Look at this is no slander towards Orange Cassidy. I love Orange Cassidy. But yo, Sylvan has an obsession with old wrestlers being the face of companies.
Thank you.
Like he was champion LA Knight like months ago. He's already in his 40s. We have MJF, man. He's 26 years old. 26, 27.
What's he doing for the company, Cooley? What's he doing for the company?
Man.
Answer the question.
Star. He's a featured star, man.
You see those numbers, Cooley.
Shine.
You see those numbers, Cooley. You see those numbers.
What is up with these
numbers
old
bro,
wrestlers?
Did you were you really into MJF's title reign until he started getting with Adam Cole and doing his bits with him? Just answer the question, Cooley.
Why are you calling me out right now?
I'm just asking a question. I'm only asking a question. I'm not calling you out. I'm just asking a question. I don't want to antagonize my black brothers here. I just want to get to the bottom of this.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a Beanstalk, y'all. I love MJF and the Adam Cole storyline, man. It reeled me in
Absolutely.
like a fish. It reeled me in. They threw the belt. They threw the bait into the ocean, and I swam to it, you know. But
we
young,
needed that. We needed that, didn't we, Cooley? But we needed that. We needed him and Adam Cole to come together, didn't we?
Man.
We really did. Because what was happening before then, Cooley? Nothing.
He was just, you know,
Nothing was happening.
But
you can't even tell me, Cooley.
I love Orange Cassidy. Don't get me wrong. I love Orange Cassidy. He's dope. He has the look. He looks like Ryan Gosling from, you know, what's that one movie?
From Drive,
Behind the Wallflower or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Drive low key, yeah.
He also looks like Dexter's dad from Dexter's Laboratory, but he's dope, man. He's really dope. I like Orange, but
Nah,
What's
man.
going on,
Nah, man. Nah.
Yo, you said Orange Cassidy looks
No,
like
bro.
Dexter's dad.
No, bro.
From
He
Dexter's
does.
Laboratory.
he does.
No, bro.
Saturday. It's Saturday. Nah, he
Okay,
really
so
is.
listen, man. Sylvan, I understand that
Talk
you
to me,
have
Qwan.
an affinity for very old wrestlers, and I get it. I like Orange Cassidy a lot, and he does sell a lot of merch, and people do dress up as him for Halloween. But bro, come on now. AEW needs to continue to invest in its future. And MJF is having a really good title reign. For one, MJF was just involved in the hottest storyline since the Bloodline. Now, obviously, Adam Cole broke his ankle or his foot, whatever he broke, he got injured. It's not on MJF. So Shout out to Adam Cole. Hope he gets better. Hope he can return and they can continue that feud. But that's not an indictment towards MJF. MJF didn't control the fact that the guy he was feuding with got injured. So we had to pivot towards this Bullet Club feud, which was probably made on the fly by Tony Khan. And this feud is dope. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Bullet Club Gold. I'm loving Jay White carrying the life-size poster of himself to the ring and carrying MJF belt like it's his. I'm loving it. So I feel like MJF's reign is super ill. We all know they're gearing up Wardlow to win that title from MJF. And to be honest, Wardlow is young as well. And Wardlow deserves it. Because let's be honest, we remember when MJF put Wardlow over, and what overshadowed that? The fact that MJF had a contract dispute with AEW. He almost left the pay-per-view early. And then the next night, he went out there in LA and shot on Tony Khan, called him a mark. And then we didn't see MJF for 9 months. That completely overshadowed him putting Wardlow over. So at this point, it's like MJF kind of owes Wardlow that favor of putting him over and putting that title on him. And Wardlow is young. This is somebody we can invest in. I love Orange Cassidy to death. Don't get me wrong. Orange Cassidy is fired, but he's old. He's aging out. There's no reason to invest all this in Orange Cassidy when Orange Cassidy's already a star. He's selling merch. He's over. So continue to ride that out for what it is and keep investing in these young guys. So Tony Khan, shout out to you. Keep the title on MJF. Do not listen to this man Sylvan and put Orange Cassidy anywhere near that title. Anywhere near that title, please. Hell no. No.
I just want to say, Qwan, I do agree with the fact that MJF and Wardlow are young talent, and I do love the fact that AEW is taking the time to invest into the future of their company. Let's just call it what it is, right? I like that. I understand that this is part of the 5 years of doom and gloom that Tony Khan's going to have to go through. It's going to be very uncomfortable. I fully do. But let's just keep it a stack, man. We know MJF is out of here next year. We know it.
I don't know if we know that.
We know it.
I don't know if we know that.
Nah, we know it. I know it. I know it.
I got a feeling that MJF re-upped with AEW. Because I truly believe it. I think he might have re-upped. They wouldn't be pushing him this hard if he hadn't.
And I wouldn't be, bro. The reason that they're pushing him this hard is because they don't have a choice. We gotta just keep it a stack. AEW doesn't have a lot of options right now. Like MJF is the youngest. He is one of the hippest, and he is one of the coolest acts in AEW. You would be a fool to not put this man as the top of your company. I'm not mad at it, but it is a lifeline. It's a lifeline that they need because they don't have any other options. And I'm speaking from the perspective of what Tony Khan is seeing. I know he sees that this is just what it is. And I know he's going to put the title on Wardlow, even though that's the wrong thing to do because Wardlow is not really a draw. I mean, I like Wardlow, but Wardlow, it's like, bro, come on. We know what time it is. This is for the sake of the story once again. And it's no different than Hangman Adam Page getting the title. And I was totally against it. And it proved to be one of the most boring title reigns in AEW history, if not the most boring title reign in history, which is why he lost it so soon to CM Punk. But the reality is that you're going to need to do something drastic. Like this is good. This is good work that you're doing, but you need to put some butts in seats. Unless you want to, and I'm speaking to you, Tony Khan, unless you want to scale back these terrible arenas that are selling 2,000 tickets,
okay,
and continue doing 600, 700,000 on Dynamite. Like I see the vision, bro. And as far as I'm concerned, MJF is gone next year.
Orange Cassidy is not going to put butts in the seat, though. At the end of the day, look, man, at some point we just got to be honest about this.
Might not.
AEW is the draw. The wrestlers in AEW, Orange Cassidy, MJF, whoever, they're not the draw. People are watching AEW for those 3 letters, AEW. And right now, AEW's business ain't that hot. And it's not an indictment towards MJF. It's not an indictment towards anybody over there. AEW's not that hot because WWE is hot. We see WWE putting 15,000 people in arenas for random Raws and SmackDown. WWE got the hot product right now. And because of that, people aren't showing up for AEW like that. That's just what it is. A lot of AEW's success is contingent on WWE not being hot. And right now, because WWE is popping, it's slow for AEW. That's honestly just what it is. And Orange Cassidy, MJF,
That's
Edge, nobody is going to change that. As long as WWE is doing their thing, AEW going to be in this 900K range. That's just going to be what it is.
I agree with you, Qwan. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm right there with you. I just think that I see what Orange Cassidy is, and I also see what people are saying. I get that there's people just like you, Qwan, that are probably in that company like, oh, he's 40, you know, we don't really need to put this. But it's like, bro, look at the numbers, look at the stats, and look at the talent that you're investing in, and look at the numbers that's wielding. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the facts. Your top merch seller, despite where you put him at and despite how you book him, shows up consistently in the number 1 or the number 2 every week. Now, imagine if you actually put something behind him and actually made him a big deal. You might be able to do something a little bit bigger. I'm just saying, you gotta, like, I'm just saying, I'm trying to look at AEW from a business standpoint and looking at the metrics of what's going on versus what's not going on. And I understand AEW's in this weird space of basing their company around being hotter or better than WWE. And that is no longer the case. I mean, we spoke about that, right? But this is me trying to have a conversation with an imaginary Tony Khan about hypotheticals that could possibly steer your company in a certain space. Now, I'm not saying, you know, Orange Cassidy is going to put butts in seats, right? I'm just saying that when I look at the stats and I look at what's going on and I look at what's happening currently with the people that you're trusting, I mean, you might as well just try some stuff out. If there's any time to try anything out now, it's right now. Because, yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I hear you.
Jinder Mahal got a push. Why can't we try out a 2 month like a 2 month reign with Orange Cassidy? Look, if Jinder Mahal could get the modern Maharaja get a 6 month title reign, bro, like why can't we get an Orange Cassidy? And Orange Cassidy is the top merch seller, bro. Why can't we get a 2-3 month reign just to see how it goes? I don't know. That's just
before we get out of this topic.
Maybe my head's in the clouds. So
before we get out of this topic, I just want to say, for one, we know why Jinder Mahal got that push. He got that push because WWE was going over to India, and they needed Jinder Mahal to be at the top of the card. And let's just be honest.
Oh my God, bro.
AEW has treated Orange Cassidy like a big deal. I don't know if y'all fellas are privy to this, but a lot of people online complain about the way Orange Cassidy is booked. A lot of people feel like Orange Cassidy is booked like Superman in AEW. This man was the longest reigning Atlantic champion in history. He was out there beating everybody clean. Guys like Swerve Strickland, guys like Darby, he was out there beating them clean, and people were kind of upset about it. So let's not pretend like AEW is just jobbing Orange Cassidy out. They treat him like a big deal. He might not be AEW world champion, but they ain't got the boy on the sideline just waiting to be in. Like he out there.
He's not the biggest deal though.
Pause.
That's all I'm saying. He's not treated as the biggest. I mean, pause. Yeah, pause. You're right.
Hey, yo.
Yeah,
that sounded crazy. You know, that sounded crazy.
You're not wrong, man.
Yo, let me know how y'all feel out there in the comments, man. Do y'all think that Orange Cassidy deserves this AEW title run? Is that what y'all want to see out there? Because if it is what y'all want to see, look, I will shut my mouth. If people want to see Orange Cassidy as AEW World Champion, I will shut up and fall in line. But until then, I'm good on that. I want to see MJF continue this reign and then put Wardlow over. Now, fellas,
they're not going to want to see
gears. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But let's switch gears.
Yeah,
let's talk about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Let's talk about VKM, Mr. McMahon.
The Virgo.
Fellas, Vince McMahon got finessed. Vince McMahon has been fleeced. He's been bamboozled because Ari Emanuel has given Triple H 100% creative control. Ari Emanuel says that people who are in position to do their job should be only solely doing their job, which means Vince McMahon no longer has any creative input. None. Zero. Nada. He has about as much creative input as we do. Vince McMahon is out of the paint. Is this the right decision to make? Because I think it is. I've been critical of Triple H. I have been. I feel like he's dropping the ball with a couple people that are of a certain color. I'll put that out there right now. And I do think that Triple H is, dropping the ball on certain big men. I'll put that out there. But at the end of the day, the product has been incredible with Triple H under creative control. We saw the last couple weeks of Raw. Bro, Bronson Reed and Gunther had a 5-star match. That was a banger. Just the other week, we saw Kofi Kingston have a banger with Ivar of the Viking Raiders. They're clearly pushing all these people up to the top of the card. We saw DIY reform, and they kind of came out the crickets, but at the end of the day, they're two talented wrestlers on TV. This is proof that Triple H is in full creative control, and I'm not mad at it. I like it. I think it's the right decision. Keep Vince McMahon wherever he's at, far, far away from the product that I love. Keep Vince McMahon away. Fellas, talk to me. Is this the right decision?
Let me just start off by saying that Triple H really backdoored Vince McMahon because he knew the whole time.
Facts.
That's
a fact.
Cooley's sick.
Hey, man, I'm sorry. Vince McMahon,
sick, man.
Hey, come on, man. Triple knew. He knew. He got. I'm gonna just say I think it's the right move. Come on, man. Vince been creative for how long? 30 plus. It's time for something more refreshing, something new. Hopefully the Cowboys could do that with Jerry Jones. Move on to something new. And
I almost dropped my microphone. I got so excited that you said that.
And Cowboys is tripping. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I love the direction Triple H is going. He putting these new faces on television. I'm for it. Vince got to take a back seat, man. It's about time. Like, bro, hang it up. He's like 90 years old, dog. Hang it up, brother.
He's only 70.
Really?
He only 70. I think Vince McMahon's only like 70 years old.
Yo, these old white men are aging crazy.
Like he was 90.
Because Vince McMahon is only 70. Vince McMahon got to be like 190.
I'm about to check right now.
That's crazy.
And Hulk Hogan,
I could
like,
be wrong.
I thought he was 90, bro.
That's crazy.
Nah, he's 72. Yeah, Vince McMahon is only 70.
What?
Oh no, wait. Vince McMahon is 78. I'm tripping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 78. So he's a little old.
It's time for him to take a back seat.
I mean, look, I'm very happy that Triple H has full control over Raw. I will say that I am going to miss Vince just a little bit with some of his decision making. I think some of his decision making, playing devil's advocate, has a larger or a bigger picture understanding of what's best for business outside of what we want. That's just how I feel. I think we're not going to get a lot of larger than life matches like we used to. Like we're not going to get like an Omos versus a Brock Lesnar, right? Like that's just I don't even think we're going to have a lot of big men that are going to be emphasized. I also think a lot of the larger than life characters are not going to be a priority anymore. I mean larger than life. I want to let me scale that back. I think unrealistic characters are not going to be as much of a priority into WWE, in my opinion. I mean, look, we got to look at Hunter for what he is. Hunter is an indie darling, bro. He has DIY back into the fold. He has Gargano back on TV. We are doing competitive matches with with Bronson Reed and Gunther, and this is great. I'm not mad at this, but I do think there's going to be a lot of demystifying, and it's going to be a lot more reality based. And I just think that I think there does need to be a little bit of balancing between Hunter's knack for indie, raw, in your face wrestling with the magic and mysticism that Vince is very much like keen in on, right? Like
that's fair.
Vince is unrealistic, right? That was our biggest issue, right? He's so unrealistic. It just kind of feels like we're just watching Cartoon Land sometimes. But I mean, look, if I remember there was a rumor, right? And I can't confirm this, but there was a rumor back in the day where it was said to say that Vince told Hunter it would be in the best interest to keep the belt on Roman for the foreseeable future. Now, we were all up in arms, right? If that is true, if that is true, wow, what foresight. Because, man, I'm enjoying this bloodline storyline even more seeing what's happening, especially with the Jimmy stuff and with the Jay stuff. So I don't know. I don't think Vince should be in control, but I would like to see Vince still have a little bit of influence in how things are, because I don't want Raw to become so. I mean, not Raw. I don't want WWE to lose like a lot of its mysticism. But that's just me. Overall, I think this is a great option. Vince does not need to be leading creative. It's a Hunter world. Let's get it cracking.
So I do think that we are prematurely writing off a lot of what Triple H can do, because we all assume that Triple H ain't into the larger than life characters or like the unrealistic gimmicks. But then I watch SmackDown and I see a team like Pretty Deadly being pushed to the top of the tag team ranks, and it's like this is a very cartoonish Vince McMahon style gimmick that Triple H is quite clearly behind. So I don't want to write them off. And then also, we talking about big men. Triple H might not push big men because, yeah, he has fumbled Omos very clearly. But, I mean, look at Gunther.
Oh, man.
Gunther's a big man. Gunther's like, what, 6'6", 6'7"? And he out there looking like the greatest of all time right now. So it's like, I don't want to just say Triple H ain't going to push the bigs either.
Gunther is the greatest of all time.
Yo, honestly, man, I hate that I'm saying this because I've said some very disparaging things about Gunther, but, yo, he out there killing.
Y'all said Gunther's the greatest of all time.
He's kind of the GOAT right now, man. I mean, he's an alien, bro. Like, you can't even put him with big men. Like, the way he wrestles is just like, this guy can wrestle with anybody. Like, it's not like we're dealing with a Omos or a what's the other big guy's name that I don't remember anymore right
Braun
now?
Strowman?
Braun Strowman. You know, where like, yeah, Braun Strowman, where it's like, you know, look, Braun is great for a big man, but, you know, he's not having Gunther matches. Like, Gunther's an alien.
Like greatest of all time is what y'all saying.
No, I'm not gonna
wrestlers.
say. I'm definitely talking in hyperbole or whatever that word is. Like Gunther's not the greatest of all time. Let's just get that clear. But I just got to give it up to Gunther for how he's moving right now, because he's out there wrestling incredible matches.
Yeah,
like that match with Bronson Reed was crazy.
Yeah.
But I will say, if Vince McMahon was in charge, he probably would have done this a little bit better, because I do feel like a match is as incredible as Bronson Reed and Gunther shouldn't be on free TV. And they shouldn't be wrestling a match like that with no type of feud or no type of heat attached to it. That's a match that you want to see. That's a feud that you want to see go on for a long amount of time and culminate at a pay-per-view. You don't want to see a match like that on a random ass Raw. Like, come on now. But other than that, I like what Triple H is doing. I think that the product has been a lot more watchable with Triple H in charge, and I'm gonna continue to watch. I'm gonna continue to tune in. I don't want Vince McMahon anywhere near this product. I'm sorry. Keep him away. He can go to AEW and maybe rewrite their stuff. Get them popping over there, but stay away from WWE, Vince. Vince, if you listening,
we
done.
Nuts.
We done with you, brother.
Hey, man. Shout out Ari Emanuel, man. The back door is crazy.
Ari Emanuel doing the Lord's work, man. People will laugh too. People laughed when Vince McMahon came back and sold the company. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's doing Triple H dirty." Little did they know, Triple H had a master plan, baby. He knew what was coming. He knew Vince was out of here. He did. Triple H is a wild boy, bro. He a wild boy.
It's all about the game and how you play it.
Hey, it was right there in the lyrics.
What is Triple H? He had cancer? What is Triple H?
Nah, he's a Leo,
Check that.
bro.
Somebody look that up. Is he a Leo?
Oh, he knew. He is a Leo.
Bro.
He knew.
He a Leo, bro. He a Leo.
Triple H, man, you dirty dog. You dirty dog. You dirty dog.
My favorite wrestler. My favorite wrestler.
But look, I will say this, Triple H. Now that you got full creative control, please don't beat us over the head with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Because look, we like them. We like them a lot, but we not trying to see 40-minute DIY matches every Raw. Come on, man. Don't do that to us. Please don't. Please don't. Do not. But I want to hear from y'all, man. How y'all feel about Triple H being in full creative control and Vince McMahon having zero input on the company that he pretty much created? Is this the right decision? Is this the wrong decision? And is this right morally? Is this foul? It's kind of foul, but at the same time, Vince McMahon has done so much wrong in this world that I don't care that it's foul. Get him out of here. I'm sorry. Now, Cooley,